Okay, this is going to be part 2 of my Whiplash series. Got some work done on it, still got a good amount to go, but start from the back of the boat. So first thing I did was mount strut. Nothing really too difficult there. Just line up the center of the boat, and then you position your motor mounting holes, or not your motor mounting holes, your mounting holes, and then I hit them with a center punch and drilled them out and mounted it. Pretty straightforward. For the rudder, basically the same scenario. You just lay it out, drill your holes, hit them with a center punch too, and then drilled out the holes. Wanted to have as little offset as I could, so there's a little bit of a gap between the mounting brackets of the strut and rudder, but it's not very much. So let's see, I had to do some modifications to the rudder. This screw right here on top, you can't really see it. This screw right here, the one that holds the rudder assembly to the bracket, it was made for a right offset, so if you flip it around, do like a mirror image, that screw would actually be in the hole that the smaller screw on the bottom there is in. So the screws are not in their intended holes because it's on the opposite side of the boat than what it was intended for. So the screw on top, the hole for it had to be opened slightly, so basically just filed that out, and it fits. I mean, the bottom one doesn't fit that well just because it's a bigger hole than what the screw is. So the top one is a pretty beefy size screw though, so it holds it pretty solid. The hole for the clevis right there, that had to be opened up a little bit. Not really anything difficult or hard, so did that. Sharpened the rudder, rounded it right there on the bottom. It's supposed to reduce lift. Haven't done it before, but we'll see. I think that's it for the strut and the rudder. Servo and servo mount. So when I first mounted it, this part on top was not holding down the servo as tight as I wanted it to. So I had 10,000s machined off of these support brackets right here, just so that I would have more threads, or more, this would pull down against the servo mount itself harder, so that it would basically hold the servo tighter. So it didn't take much, 10,000s was enough. So yeah, I was happy with that. And then I wanted to mount it as far inside this direction as possible so that I could have it aligned as closely as I could with the rudder, so I don't have to bend it as much. I still haven't bent it, but it will have to be bent slightly. But if you go this direction, you're going to have to bend it a lot more, and I wanted to keep it as straight as possible. So yeah, just scuffed the holes, scuffed them out, epoxied it in. Nothing too hard there. Go on to the motor and motor mount. Here, let me turn this actually. So the motor mount has its positives and negatives, I suppose. Initially, when I pulled it out of the box, I didn't really take a good look at it. I kind of just saw what it looked like, knew it was a good design, and didn't really look at it that closely. So when I started mounting it, I put all of the screws into the threads and used calipers to see what it was from center line to center line, and then I was going to map it out. One of these, so there's a screw that mounts through the bottom here, and there's one that you can see it protrudes in the back right there. So when I was mapping it out on the boat, I was using calipers to get my center lines, and then I was going to map it, and I did that on the bottom actually, because it was a lot easier to do than it would have been up here. But one of the support brackets is actually 30 thousandths longer than the other, so I had to basically keep my front two screws, this screw and the same thing on the other support side, keep that distance, it's not focusing, sorry, keep that distance, or keep those mounting ones stationary, and then I had to change basically one of the mounting holes in the back because they weren't the same distance. So a little bit odd, but then there's one other thing, and I kind of noticed it when I was having it mocked up, or when I was mocking it up to check the center lines of the screws, but the threads or the holes drilled for the screws, that being like this part of the mount where it's drilled and tapped, and then up here it's drilled and tapped as well, they're not straight. So it's not, I mean, don't get me wrong, they're not like this or anything like that, but when you put the threads in, or put the screws in, they definitely are somewhat crooked. I mean, it'll be alright, but just a few things to take note of what I noticed. So I actually had some additional machining done on this too. Basically, when we first got the mount, there's a lot of beef on the bottom here, just all along the bottom. That was kind of unnecessary. So I had 3 mils taken off each side, and basically just to lower the center of gravity of the mount. I didn't want to take off any more than that, just because if you can see, it's like going in and out of focus. Hold on, move this. So it's still not focusing. That's better. So when it oops, sorry. Basically, I wanted to get it as low as possible to get the center of gravity as low as possible. So the only thing that we were thinking on that is it takes some of the strength out of it. So what we're going to end up doing is, you see that there's a flat kind of machined on the mount right there, right where, come on, there we go, okay, right on there. So we're going to take about probably like a 16th or 32nd piece of aluminum and cut it and tie that side to that side of the mount, just to give it a little bit more integrity that we took out when we machined it down. I mean, once you get past those things, they're not really a big deal, but it's something that can probably be easily averted, but what can you do? I also had a flat machined on the motor mount. You can't see it right now because I have the collet on there, but yeah, I had that machined on there. Went about 10 thousandths deep, and then as far as he could, as close to the can as possible as he could with the bit, and yeah, trust me, you don't need much of a flat for that. Very little. I think that's it for the motor and the mount. Let's see. Okay, so I decided to mount the batteries up here just to get the CG as far forward as possible. Use these PureTech straps, pretty nice. Trying to think if I missed anything. Pretty much where I'm at right now. I mean, the speed control, that's a fun issue. Basically, I ordered a Swordfish 220 Pro Plus, and I got a Swordfish 220 Pro. And the 220 Plus has data logging, and the 220 Pro does not. So, trying to get that sorted out. That's fun dealing with an overseas seller. So, take your risks, and sometimes they pan out, and sometimes they don't. But it'll be alright, I'll get the right one. Just a matter of waiting for it, which is rather annoying. But pretty much where I'm at right now. Big thing left to do is mainly, obviously, just do the stuffing tube. I'm still messing around with the motor angle a little bit, seeing how much angle I want to put in it, just so I can have, I want to have it come fairly steep, just so that I can have a lot of it exposed, so it makes it easier for strut adjustments. Yeah, pretty much where I'm at right now. I have someone that helps me out with metal, or all the machining stuff, and making a turn fin for it, so we have a die for that too, so we can put the hook in it, and doing all that, and hopefully I will get it done by the Michigan Cup. I really want to, just to test it out. It's not going to be a race. P-Sport's not going to be at the Cup, but really would like to get some testing done with it, and yeah, that's basically where I'm at right now. If you have any tips on motor angle mounting and how you determine what angle you mount yours at, post it in the comments or on the thread on Offshore Electrics. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know, and I'll get back to you next time. Sorry it was so long between videos, but hope you enjoyed it.